Welcome, welcome. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. The live stream edition of East Meets West, featuring your boy opinionated MJ, the great Conrado Pascual.
That's right.
Yes, we are reacting to the Detroit Pistons dismissal of Monty Williams after just one season.
That is right.
I
Some of the
have a
first big breaking news. First big breaking news of the
uh,
official offseason.
since the
Right?
championship, right?
That's right.
So how I got a plethora of things I could say, but
Well,
how are you feeling about it? You know, what
well,
are
I
you
mean,
thinking?
let's just there is shock to this. I know a
Okay.
lot of fans will be like they may be rejoicing. They
All right.
may be excited for what's to come and okay, that's understandable, but to be fair, less than a week ago when Adrian Wojnarowski reported that the Pistons had hired Fred Vinson.
Mm-hmm.
They plucked him from the New Orleans Pelicans coaching
Mm-hmm.
staff, right, to be one of the top assistants for Monty, specifically for Monty, and to be the team's like appointed shooting coach. I
Right.
mean, that really it was explicitly said that that was an indication, right, that they are
Yeah.
adding to Monty's staff. So this
Right.
does come as a shock. This does come as a shock, especially today is there's a new wrinkle now in the CBA where
Mm-hmm.
once the NBA finals are done, teams can begin negotiating new contracts with their own free agents. So
Okay.
I mean, I think that's all what we expected to see today, maybe, right? Like
Yeah.
so, like
Yeah.
Pascal Siakam news. Um, hell, maybe who knows, right? Maybe some Klay Thompson updates, right? With the Warriors, you never know,
Hopefully, I
right?
mean, he's been going crazy everywhere else, like playing in the
Right.
where was he
I
at?
know.
Bahamas and something like that with a bunch of other people. So yeah.
Oh no. He's well. He's his family's from the Bahamas, right?
Oh, okay.
So yeah. He's not gonna play for the Bahamas, Bahamian
Bohemian.
national
Okay.
team, right? But he's helping scrimmage with them, like practice when they get ready for their Olympic qualifying tournament. But
Yeah.
again, going back to it, I mean, this is a shock, which is why we are having a live reaction. So I mean, uh, for lack of a better word or term, I am shocked. I'm surprised. I understand, but again, just given what had transpired over the last week and seeming like the vote of confidence that they gave him, because as
Yeah.
Woj said, this is coming as a shock to Monty.
Yeah.
This is coming to a shock to him, right? And this
Yeah.
is from the ownership. This is not even Trajan Landon.
Yeah.
So I mean, uh,
I,
I don't know. What are you thinking? I mean, there's
I'm I'm thinking that it's Tom Gores like they mentioned. You know what I mean? Like he is kind of heavy handed right now. He's because apparently he made the decision. You know what I mean? Tom
correct.
Gores made the decision. So I'm thinking Langdon came in and was just like, we're gonna stay the course. We're adding a shooting coach. Because if you already had a clear cut like vision of what you wanted to do, wouldn't Monty have been going like a day or so after Trajan came in? You know what I mean? Or they would have
Right.
just you would think that that would be the course of action. I'm not sure if Monty had a discussion with Tom or something like that, even though they said it's a surprise to him, right? So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Tom Gores, but I hope he's not going to James Dolan route and he's just heavy handed on everything and just wondering how long it'll take for him to kind of understand like you put basketball people in place, let them do those basketball things. You rich, but let them do what this business is and conduct the business in that manner. Because now, okay, we can look at it like, okay, if I go to this team, if I go become a head coach of this team, um, is if like my communication with the GM is going to be different than what the owners just feeling overall, period. You know what I mean? So like how do you go about that? You know what I mean? Like how do you go forward? Like, and that kind of puts us in a position where it's like, does that dissuade coaches that want to
Right.
potentially come here? You know what I mean? Like, does that dissuade them? Like, oh, I can have this going on and it could be an understanding on this level, but then higher up, Tom Gores, if he's not feeling something, then it is what it is. And then if we call back to last season, they were saying that Weaver and Gorez weren't on the same page, and that they felt like, I think Gorez was the one that hired Monty. So is he trying to right the ship now by relinquishing some
I
power
mean,
but clearing the house, period, and going to allow it to be that, or is he just being heavy-handed? That's what I'm worried about right now.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point in terms of like how the dismissal of Monty is going to potentially affect being able to bring in potential replacements or new head coaching candidates.
Yeah,
I mean, because I think every coach, like even on like currently employed coaches,
yeah,
would agree that whoever takes on, it's kind of like the process Sixers, right? Whoever took it has to be under the understanding that this is a rebuild. I mean, I know, right? We want like instant success, but I mean, like, no, it's not going to be quick, and that's what I'm saying. Like, no, and success can be all relative, right? Hey, like, make the play in next year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
there are stepping stones, but what I'm saying is, uh, whatever Tom Gores is thinking, or like whatever his criteria then is for an acceptable season, because I mean, if a coach just looks at it, it's like, man, Monty came in, great track record, excellent leader of men, just
hmm
a stand up figure, and he got kicked out like after 1 year. I
right,
mean, it's easy for us to say as fans, like, and like, hey, oh, cool, right? Like he gets to go home with $65 million in his pocket. He gets right, he gets
right,
$65 million to go home. I mean, I would love that, but I mean, your head coach, these men, they're coaches for a reason, right?
right.
They're competitors.
hmm
They take pride in their craft. So I don't think like, no one's going in thinking, oh, I want a $60 million pay, like, send off. They want to coach. They want to,
right.
uh, lead teams to victory. Um, and if you are a coaching candidate that has some uh, respect around the league, and you have the ability to kind of choose the direction of your coaching career, like, is this something then, is
That you
this a position that is actually that you think is going to be beneficial to you? And I
right.
mean, that's,
Roster construction wise, yes, all day. But if Langdon again decided that they were keeping Monty, but then Gorez said no, we're not, then you don't have job security ever. And you just like you signed Monty to the biggest coaching deal ever, which changed coaching contracts, period. And
I
then
know.
you fire him after a year, after it seemed like Langdon and them were, like we were mentioning, intertwined and on the same page, bringing in shooting coaches and like starting to get things established going forward. But then Gorez is like, no, you know what I mean? So you know what I mean? Like, is there job security? But do you have any candidates? Because I'm
That so,
Sam
and
Cassell
that's,
all day. I'm Sam Cassell. I don't want nobody else.
I
Everybody's
mean,
Chauncey Billups, but I don't want the cachet. I don't want the love that we're gonna shower him with because I want someone to come in with a fresh vision for this fresh team. You know what I mean? And be able to actually grow with the team as opposed to come with some already predetermined, oh, this works where I've been and this went like this, so I need you to do this, or I need these types of players where we got to start shipping. And you know what I mean? We might need to do that anyway. We might need to make some moves apparently, but I want Sam Cassell.
I mean, I think this is why I'm saying, like, I think how it affects perception, you know, it will affect both coaching candidates and potential, I think, free agents, right? I think
Hmm.
they're completely directly connected. Because if you think about it, like, you could go with the inexperienced NBA coach around, like a coach out of
Yeah.
college or an assistant that's never been a head coach,
Right.
right? If you believe, hey, right, this is a coach that can grow with our young team, right? There
Hmm.
is merit to that. However, like, would it be for the team? Would it be more advantageous to hire a veteran coach, someone with some cachet, a reputation, because then that head coach could potentially draw in free agents. See, this is where I think it does become important, because as we were talking about this, I saw a report that one of the potential coach or the coaches that they're potentially reaching out to is James Borrego,
Yeah.
right? Who has currently interviewed for the Lakers and the Cavs
Yeah.
head coaching job. Now, I think James Borrego is a very good strategic mind. I think he's spot on with his X's and O's.
Yeah.
Can't say too much about like his temporary stint, right? I believe with the Hornets.
Charlotte. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, all I'm saying is that's the thing. Like, what is the direction then that ownership? What is their expectation? Because I'm sorry, like James Borrego is not a name where I think like, oh, well, I want to play for that guy, right? And that's not to say
Right.
no. Maybe one day he can, and like I'm saying, like give him an opportunity. But if the goal is like we want, because we believe, like if you're Tom Gore, as your ownership, you're like, this offseason is so crucial. This is why we need the people in place, but like right, the general manager and the head coach, so that way we can bring in the best talent either through the draft or draft and free agency.
Right.
Then right, at least as it pertains to free agency, your head coach has got to be part of the selling point, right? So that's my point. Like, why are you talking? Like, what does that then mean then? Because then if you're just like saying like you're bringing Borrego, okay, that's fine. You want someone that you believe is better suited to develop a young team, okay, but then could have been like a lot of other people too, or I mean, so
I mean, if he's just a development coach, then why not be an assistant? You know
see,
what I
that's
mean?
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So it with Monty going, that means we would have. I'm sure his whole coaching staff is going too. I would believe. Well, except who we just hired, which is I keep forgetting his name, the shooting coach from the Hornets.
Oh, Fred Vinson.
The Pelicans. Yeah, Fred Vinson. So I mean, there's names. What I just had it up here, like Kenny Atkinson, and you know what I mean. A bunch of other people.
Point, they're
David
all
Adelman, Chris Quinn. Somebody
right.
said Jerron Collins, and they said no to James Borrego. But I'm Sam Cassell, and and some people are thinking if Chauncey got dismissed, then Chauncey. But I don't like the Detroit cachet of Chauncey because, like I mentioned, he'll come in with all that love and everybody will just be head over heels like we were about Monty. We truly were. And I want a fresh face. You know what I mean? And come in with your coaching staff. Hell, I might take David Fizdale. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, he's got defensive acumen to him. We need defense, right? We need to play better defensively. But we do need a development coach in the midst of all of this. Because we've had 3 coaches in 3 years. You know what I mean?
Dude.
So it's just like,
and it seems it seems, at least from what's being reported, it doesn't seem like Dwayne Casey returning to the sidelines is well, no, right? Because you've suggested that in the past. You've suggested that in the past, right? That perhaps he is better suited. Yeah, but. Okay, so that does not seem like it's an option. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. You want a fresh face.
Sam Cassell.
As it pertains to the Pistons fan base, but I mean, like, does that mean fresh face, like just never really been a part of the organization, or like a fresh face from the NBA coaching scene?
Just I won't say fresh, like no experience, but like I mentioned earlier, we seen Tom Thibodeau win a championship. Oh, where was he? He was with the Celtics. Then he did what? He went to the Bulls.
Yeah.
Then he had what? Derrick Rose, Luau Deng, Joakim Noah, like all brand new players coming in.
Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon,
okay.
John Salmons.
Okay, you throwing it back. But
yeah, dude.
Okay, we can get Sam Cassell, who's a part of the Celtics organization. Bring him over here. We already have Cade Cunningham. We have Jaden Ivey, Arsar Thompson, Jalen Duren, and everybody else, Isaiah Stewart, for all the Beef Stew fans. I'm not gonna act like I forgot. And we need somebody with a fresh face with some experience. You know what I mean? Plus, he's a former player. And I'm high on point guards being coaches as well too. If we want to throw that out there, but I think that he can come in here and implement something. He's been a part of organizations. He's been a part of like teams that have gone the distance. Now he's a champion. You know what I mean? So, and then who knows what cachet he may have that's not like from being a part of the Pistons organization or the Pistons scene, but he's good with certain players that might be able to come in and work on. He might be able to, KG, come over and work with James Wiseman come over and work with Jalen Duran, because Duran at Memphis was shooting mid ranges. KG, come help his pick and pop game or come. But I want a coach that's like just fresh to the scene. No, not Borrego. I would take Atkinson though. I would, because I like his offensive schemes.
I think in terms of player development, he is arguably one of the best.
I won't
just
forget
period coaches out there.
With that Nets team. I was watching the Nets team, and they were fun.
You can say each player was definitively better, right? After having played for him, So I mean, obviously they're putting in the work, but clearly he's guiding them in the right direction. He's helping them. But yeah, I mean, that's. I would, yeah. I like Kenny. Of the, like the common names you keep hearing circulating around the coaching. I mean, so I'm assuming then, like, you're not a JJ Redick fan.
For what?
Okay, period. You're just not a JJ Redick fan.
That's not a shot at JJ either. It's just like, if should I go into my fantasy bag again? If JJ will come to the Pistons, then LeBron will come with him, sure. You know what I mean? Like,
well, see, there you go. Like, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, especially in 2024, it would be foolish to think that any team can become an overnight success.
Right.
But if you really are trying to make like a big move that is both like on paper and a culture setting move, like, do you have the coach in place that can sell, a certain any player, any big player, not maybe not LeBron, but like say for example, I mean,
Sam
it's
Cassell
also unrealistic.
Paul George.
There you go. That's what I was gonna go with. Like,
let's
say a guy like Paul George, like one of the bigger names, right? That could actually really help, kind of transform the Pistons.
Yeah.
You think Sam Cassell? Okay, because that's what I'm saying, right? Like, no knock on James Borrego's coaching acumen, but even Borrego, even Kenny Atkinson, I don't think that they just, they don't have, they don't have that built-in equity yet, where players just automatically think like, whoa, like at one point Doc had that, Doc Rivers, like you had that shine where it's like, whoa, okay, like this guy, I want to play for this guy. Like Eric Spoelstra has that, what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, forever.
Yeah, see. So
and then,
I mean,
and I'll also add that we need, like you're saying, a culture setter. We need somebody that's going to come in, not have to feel like, oh, Tom Gores might fire me if I go on a 10, 15 game losing streak. You know what I mean? And Cade Cunningham is throwing his hands up in my face like this. Like, we need to be able to have those moments in order to grow. So I feel like Sam Cassell has a commanding presence. I feel like he has some cachet. He has some coaching experience. He has playing experience. I want Sam Cassell. I just want Sam Cassell. I'm willing to hear what everybody else thinks, but I want Sam Cassell.
Is there a current NBA head coach? Well, okay, there are a lot of NBA head coaches that you'd probably prefer over Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's just only because remember
Mike
how did
Brown.
the Clippers? Okay, there you go.
If the Kings would have fired him, I would have wanted Mike Brown.
No, they're gonna keep him. I was gonna say that's well, no, because remember, like the Clippers traded for Doc Rivers. No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I brought up the whole Chauncey thing.
I forgot about that.
I bet you if you they traded 2 second-round picks for Doc Rivers, right? I mean, like you could theoretically like trade a second-round pick for Chauncey Billups, right? But if you're not as high on him, I'm just saying, like people kind of forget that, but that is a maneuver, right? That front offices can make. Because right, you're under contract. All contracts can be traded, right?
Right. That was unprecedented too.
It's not, yeah.
What are you? Okay, this left field, and I might turn people off with this because we're gonna need defensive coaches. But What do you think Mike D'Antoni is doing these days?
Wait, did you say defensive or offensive?
Uh, uh Defensive.
Okay.
Or did I say defensive? No, I mean we're gonna need defensive coaches. That's what I meant to say. But what do you think Mike D'Antoni is doing nowadays? Do you think that would
Uh
be his offense? And I mean, he's somebody that I wouldn't want to bring in because it's like, oh, I'm coming. This is what I need. You know what I mean? I would rather the coach and the players grow like that.
um I mean, what is he doing? I mean, he's been actively like he's right when he did not get the Pacers head coaching job. He just kind of elected to sit out coaching altogether. So I'm not sure what he's doing.
Yeah, I know
Uh
you're connected. You've been part of the scouting process and being an actual scout too. So yeah,
yeah, I mean, he'd be he's definitely a fantastic mind. Like, the time where he was serving as like a associate head coach or like a lead assistant, I believe, to Brett Brown. I
yeah,
mean, it's not past him. Like it's not his ego isn't so overwhelming,
yes.
right? That he would completely turn down. But I think he would be a little bit more uh
Of what I
like
said, I don't want
selective.
it.
I'd say
Yeah,
selective
yeah.
of the situation, right? It's the same
Okay.
thing, right? Like, it's one thing to kind of uproot yourself, move to a different city. If you're a head coach, it's another thing to be an assistant, right? With same that not any like job security
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I mean, do you feel more optimistic? Like in this very moment, obviously there's no new head coach yet, but does this make you more optimistic or more, I don't want to say pessimistic, but more worried about this offseason?
Um, I'm optimistic. Like I'm running through. Like I'm thinking of another player. Okay, so or ex player. Do you think that like someone like Ray John Rondo is ready to be a coach?
No.
No. Why?
I have no reason to believe he is. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
and I know that's a little unfair, because we say like, hey, JJ Redick isn't, but I mean, you can make an argument, right, that uh, both him as a broadcaster and
Yeah.
as a podcaster, I mean, his X's and O's are on point. Like
Okay.
on point, right? If you like, because sometimes people say like, oh, like for example, when the Warriors had Mark Jackson, it's like he was looked at as not much of an X's and O's guy,
Right.
right? He
Oh, I
is
forgot about
a
Mark Jackson.
motivator. He's a motivator.
Hmm.
He's like a culture setter, a tone setter, right? And he knows how to kind of like push players, like push the right buttons.
Hmm.
Whereas Steve Kerr, when he was brought in, more of an actual like basketball mind, like a tactician, right? A strategist. What I'm trying to say is, at the very least, like Reddick's like on air time has shown that like he's very good, at breaking down the game. Like, so you have a
Yeah.
reason to believe he has like the acumen, right? The savvy
Yeah.
to do that. As for the relation part, no, we have no reason to believe. For Rondo, it's just simply there's no body of work. There's no
Okay.
body of work. Now I know he was rumored like to potentially be like an
Laker.
assistant. Yeah, right. Like, but I think it was more like to be like an assistant coach, which okay, that's great, right? Get your feet wet. But I don't know. Yeah,
The
I
Lakers
don't
will
know.
want Satan if he emerged. Oh, I've come from the depths, and then all of a sudden, we might want you as an assistant coach. They want
I mean,
everybody,
can you
but
imagine? I mean, back in '08, right, when they won their title, that one he would ever play for the Lakers, let alone
no,
win a championship with the
no,
Lakers, and then
no,
somehow come back and coach the Lakers.
no,
Like,
no,
what?
no.
I know time flies, man. Was that 16 years ago? Jesus.
Let me
So,
carry that back to Mark Jackson. So, do you think that he's like just? I'm thinking about this for the Pistons. Do you think he's banished from the higher ups of the NBA body itself, like the league, and all the constituency, and I mean, what would I call that body? What are they like the 30 owners and whatnot? What do they call them?
the board of governors.
The board. So is he like
Is
really
he blackballed?
blackballed, cast out? Yeah, like
I
blackballed,
don't
cast out,
think.
or could he, if somebody wanted him, come back and coach a team? Because he would be a candidate for this
Okay,
team.
so my understanding is that he's only ever been considered for head coaching positions. In
Right.
other words, it seems like he's never. It doesn't seem like he's been open to an assistant coaching position,
Okay.
right? Whether that's pride or just whatever personal
He
preference.
probably
What I'm
is.
saying is it's or a combination of both.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like completely like bash him because like so much time has passed,
Yeah.
right? But the nature, the manner in which his coaching tenure ended with the Warriors,
Yeah.
like I think it left a sour taste in like all owners' mouths, right? Like the kind of the perception of how it ended was not good, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, if I were him, I think his best course of action to potentially being a head coach again is to accept an assistant position. But I don't know. He just hasn't done that yet. Whether or not those opportunities have been available, he
Yeah.
just hasn't. So I don't know. Um, but for the Pistons,
Yeah.
no. If you
Yeah.
were a veteran team and your top players were kind of they've entered both their physical and their like IQ prime,
Yeah.
then maybe, right? But
Okay.
for a young team that needs like developmental guidance, I'm not sure he's the guy for that, you
Are
know.
you sure?
Actually, no, I take it back.
Are you sure?
No.
He
Yeah.
did what to your team? He told Clay and Steph they were going to be the best. They turned out to be the best. He gave Steph a green light, even though Kerr gave him a greener one. But still, he had to go in that direction first in order for Kerr to be able to take the baton. And I just think, I mean, because who did they have? They had Iggy, they had David Lee, they had Steph. I mean, he was a part of the transition, so I just think that he would
He
still be.
was.
I
He
think he would still be
was
a good option.
for the Pistons.
I mean,
Because I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there's too much actual player development in terms of skill development.
okay,
Yeah, no doubt, right? Was he
yeah,
able to set like help the team set a defensive mindset? You
yeah,
know, was he able to like get like Steph and really he did? Yes, he gave him the guidance. Like, this is the type of player that you need to be. He did that. You know, like I
hmm
remember Steph saying like, "Oh, his goal is like I want to be what was it like top." I'm spitballing here, but he said something like, "I want to be top 5 or top 10 in the league in assists."
yeah,
Mark Jackson goes, "What?" He's like, "I need you to be." No, he literally said, "I don't care about your assists. I need you to be one of the top scorers in the league." Right? Embrace who you are. So I give him. I
yeah,
saw there are great things that he did, but in terms of like skill development, because the Pistons have a lot of guys that I think are still raw, right?
okay,
Like they're under, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like they need someone who's a little bit better at like really helping, like young guys hone their craft. You know,
yeah,
and in order to do that, being able to draw up plays that kind of like ease them into games, right? Put them in like easier positions to succeed. And I don't think Mark Jackson does that. At least the last time we saw him, which was what 10 years ago.
right,
At
yeah.
least so. I mean, I don't know, right? People get changed, people get better, but that's what I'm
I've I've
saying.
I've got a left field thought, but it probably won't happen, and that would kind of go against where I was coming from initially, as far as having cachet to the city. But I wouldn't mind Willie Green, honestly. I would love Willie Green for this team, a
So
young
you would
team.
trade 2 second round picks for Willie Green?
Yeah, in a heartbeat,
That's a good
in a
example.
heartbeat,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah, since that's the thing, like we could trade, we could trade picks for coaches. Like, yeah, run that. Yeah, I do that. I would.
Here's one guy. What do you think about Jared Jack?
I mean, he's been here. Okay, so if you thinking, how long has Jared Jack been a part of like assistant coaching circles? Like, okay,
Didn't he
so he
come
was in
over?
Golden State, and yeah, he's in Detroit. He's with us.
No, but he
I don't
came
know.
over. He was with the Suns too, with Monty's final year or two, I
Was he
believe.
okay?
Yeah. So I mean, he's had a couple of years now under his belt as an assistant.
So I mean, I don't. He's a fresh face. I mean, if I'm going along those lines, if I'm staying within those stipulations that I set, then I mean he is a fresh face. But you know, if I say Sam Cassell and Jared Jack, and I just plaster them on the
Yeah,
screen, you know how people are just going to choose Sam just because of his body of work as a player. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, I mean, if Jared is
Wait, what?
capable of getting us to damn 35 or 42 damn wins, I'm all for it. Like
If
30
we're
wins, shit, something. Not zero
wait.
and 28.
If we are going to base their potential coaching success on their playing careers, I mean, yeah, Sam Cassell was
No, we
badass, but
not.
so is
We not.
Jared Jack. Man, come on, dude.
I mean, but Sam had
Double
he ran
J.
with KG, man. He ran with KG.
Hey, Jared Jack was part of the first death lineup, man. You know, with
Okay.
the precursor to the death lineup, man. So
You got any other like? I mean, like serious. And Jared Jack would be serious because he's already been here.
that's what
So
I'm
it's
saying.
not
Well,
like
I
it would
mean,
be too
I asked that. Yeah, I
left
asked that
field.
because he was essentially an in-house candidate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes you're like, oh, we want to just do away with an entire because right until further notice, I don't know, right? Like they haven't actually announced that all of
His
Monty's
staff.
assistants or staff are let go. I mean, you know, it wouldn't be the craziest thing. But again, it's really there are a lot of great head coaching candidates out there. You know, we talked about too on one of our, I believe, episode 5, right?
Yeah.
We talked about some of the EuroLeague coaches, right? And even like
Oh.
Ergan Ataman said, like, I'd do the NBA, but like it's got to be a good situation. Like this does not seem like a good, right?
You
Like
know.
he's not gonna leave his position, right, in Panathinaikos for something like
Yeah.
this, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's
Especially
like,
with those types of teams, they have like continuity, like crazy. You know what I mean? So they
yeah.
grow like families over there.
I mean, I'm all about like I think it's good, especially like when you are a billionaire, like whatever, like Tom Gore, right? That's
Hmm.
business savvy right there, right? You got to cut your losses. It's
Yeah.
just in doing that, have you kind of like essentially already off the bat, having fired Monty Williams after 1 year,
Hmm.
that alone, that act right there is now going to limit the pool of candidates, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I asked you, does it make you more optimistic or pessimistic? Because like I'd hate that now you're just settling for someone,
Well,
especially if they
when you put it that way, it does make it like suddenly we're like the poor Lakers. We're the poor version of the Lakers. Like, if you do horrible coaching, then we're gonna fire you after a year, or you're just on the hot seat just because you're on it. Or like in Phoenix case, because they fired Vogel after 1 year too, didn't they? And no,
yeah,
Pistons fans, if any Pistons,
yeah.
I'm sure Pistons fans are watching. No, I don't want Frank Vogel unless he's an
I
assistant.
want him as an
I'll
assistant.
take him as an assistant, yeah, all day.
I
But
want him to be Steve Kerr's
I don't.
assistant with the Warriors, man.
Ooh, yeah, because y'all need a defensive coach back,
Yes, we
like
do.
Mike Brown. Yeah, I mean
Yes, we
that's
do.
clear.
I want like every single head coach that was like fired. I would love to have JB Bickerstaff as as an assistant. You know.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. What do you think about Bickerstaff?
I would. I would hire Bickerstaff. I would
I think
actually
so
hire
too.
Bickerstaff because he took a team that went from losing LeBron, firing Ty Lue, having to restructure and building them up. It's just they brought Donovan Mitchell in, and it's like, we had this discussion on another one of our podcasts, and it was just Donnie and Darius don't mesh. So, but
Right.
what he was able to do with them still get them to the playoffs. I think they won 53 games, correct? Was it 53 or
Yeah, and then I think this
something
last
around there?
season it was like 50 or 49 or something like that, like
Yeah,
50
so
games.
that's not. I mean, it's better than what the damn Pistons are doing. So if he could come in, he can actually be a coach that helps with development and brings in the right coaching staff. Hell, if he could get Isaac Okoro over here with Alsara, I'd love that too. But especially with our shooting coach now, Fred Vincent, get just bring a good staff over here, and I'm all
Because
I hire him.
if we look back, going back to the Mark Jackson discussion, why I don't completely bash him amongst Warrior fans is because, like you said, right, there were significant contributions he made, right, in terms of unlocking the potential from the guys that would go on to be our best players,
Right.
right? You look back, and even at the time, right, like in around his final year, I kind of felt, you know what, like he was the right coach to help them take the next step.
Yeah.
He just might not be the right coach to take him all the way
To the
to
next
the
level.
mountaintop, right?
Yeah.
Or to the next level of the mountaintop,
Yeah.
right? At the very least, I feel like guys like JB Bickerstaff,
Yeah.
forget, you know, I mean, like you're not going to win a championship overnight, right?
Right.
But can he take them to the next level, the immediate next level? I think he
Yeah.
can. That's
We
what
got
I'm
Cade
saying. Like,
Cunningham.
you know, so,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
We got
Give him
Cade.
a 4-year deal, give him a 3-year, 4-year deal, and then, you know, in year 3 or 4, you can fire him and get the guy that can take him to the mountaintop. Because by then, Cade, Duran, you know,
Yeah.
they're amongst they're gonna be like amongst the best players in the league, and they
Yeah.
can help lead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know. But do you feel then? So before we wrap up, with all that said, do you believe that there is like a time crunch, a sense of urgency to
Hell
fill that
yeah.
position? So what it
Yeah.
has to be before free agency, basically? You need him for the
It
pitch
damn
point?
near has to be before the draft because
Well, that's like in
10
9 days,
days.
man.
Yeah. So I mean, like Tom Gore has fired somebody, so I hope he's got somebody in mind, or he's
Do
allowing.
you honestly think he does?
No, no, no,
So
I don't.
yeah, neither do
So
I. That's a problem, man.
I think he needs to let that rest on Langdon's shoulders. You know what I mean? Make sure he's not being heavy-handed. Let Langdon make all the decisions since that's who you hired, and let's go from there. You know what I mean? Let him control the basketball decisions. Let him be in that circle. You just spend the money. We gonna get you out here sitting with your drinks like you do, crazy, looking crazy sometimes, throwing t-shirts in the stadium, and just let them do the basketball things. You know what I mean? Don't become James Dolan. Don't become heavy-handed and this, that, and that. Nah. You know what I mean? Like let Langdon make his decisions because he's got pull. Like because we got Langdon, they're like, oh, Brandon Ingram's going in. If who else? I just read something about somebody else that's connected to him. You know what I mean? So let his cachet kind of shine through if it can, and let's just see what happens. Because I mean, it can't get any worse than having a coach and we go 0-28. I don't know that ever happens again in the modern in this era of NBA. That shit's not gonna happen. It's just not. I can't see another team going 28,
I'd laugh
28
if your
straight,
next
bro.
I'd laugh
28
if you're
straight.
like your next head coach goes 0-27. He's like, hey,
Man,
I'm
then
not
I'm
Monty, man.
disowning. I'm disowning. I'm gonna bleach the shit out of this Pistons jersey.
Hey, you're a Warrior fan too. You're a Warrior fan
Yeah,
too.
I am.
So
But I mean, send us Jonathan
well,
Kuminga. We can talk.
okay, so what are you sending us back? Are you giving us Jalen Duran? What are you
James
doing?
Wiseman.
Jesus Christ.
Might send Sasser over there too to cut Steph some slack, but I like
No, we're
Sasser,
good.
so we'll But hopefully we have a coach by the I want to say by the draft, but definitely free agency because we don't need to go in any direction without having some direction already upstairs to know where to go. We don't need to, oh, we got this collection of players here, figure it out. If we're
Yeah.
here, we're right at the off season. We're at the point where you can make those changes right here, right now. You got basically a blank canvas. Oh, you want to trade such and such? Okay, well, it's before the draft. All of a sudden, you can use them in the draft, pick up some picks, pick some players that might fit your vision a little bit more, might complement Cade or whoever a little bit better. You know what I mean? So I think we
Yeah.
do need a coach before the draft. We need a coach before the draft. And I don't know what type of things they're looking at in the interview, but all I want to hear is what's your vision? Okay, so if you're the head coach of this team, what are you going to do about this draft, and what are you going to do about free agency, and what moves do you think we need to make in order to have your vision met? You know what I mean? So we can meet your vision, like, and see how
Right.
realistic it is, and go from there. But my candidate again for everybody, Sam Cassell, all day.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I wish you know, again, as an adopted fan, I hope this goes well. I hope this goes well. No, because I mean like there is I'm still very high on the players on this team, you know.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. I hope they get the right guidance, you know, from this
Yeah.
next head coaching candidate. And on final note, um, I know we are not making anything personal with Monty Williams, right?
No.
Because I think you and I at least agree that
Yeah.
Monty Williams, the man,
Yeah.
is a hell of a person.
Yes.
And just reading that final Rose report, like, it's kind of ironic, right? You want a leader of men to be your head coach. You want a guy who sets a great example. He does all that. He does all that. And for the fans, like, I hope you multiple things can be true. You could say he just was not the right fit. The results were not sufficient. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's all true.
Yeah.
But in terms of his commitment to the team, I mean, you have a wife battling cancer, and he
Yes.
still
Can.
chooses to stay with the team. Never once wavers.
Yep.
I mean, let's have a little perspective,
Yeah.
right? I think if I had to, like, you know, and again, not to romanticize things, like, I feel like the guys on the team, they're better men for having known Monty, for having been
Yeah.
associated with him, you know. So
Yeah.
I'd like to think that will be, again, there will be a cumulative effect between Monty's time and whoever's coaching them next, right? That'll make them better men, better players.
Yeah. And let me do a send off too, because I did it on the last one. Um, we wanted Monty when we got him. You know what I mean? Like Detroit Pistons, Pistons Nation, whatever I want to, whatever we should be called. Well, I forget what we even call ourselves. Shit, the 0-28s. But we wanted Monty Williams. Like when we hired him, I was like, oh yes, because that's who I wanted when Phoenix got rid of him. And Gorez just kept on upping the wager on him. Like, oh no, oh okay, here's more. No, oh okay, here's more. No, here's more money. I just want to say, Monty, thank you, because yes, he was dealing with his wife having cancer. He already had been through something previously when he was the coach of
Yeah.
OKC with another, like his wife at that time, going through things. So thank you for coming to the Pistons and putting you put your family aside. You know what I mean? And I know money talks. He's gonna walk away with enough money to be able to continue to take care of her, uphold his lifestyle. Hell, he might pick up another coaching job still. You know what I mean? And
I think,
all
yeah.
power to him. But I'm paying attention to the fact that he did put things aside to come to Detroit. As much as myself and especially people outside of Detroit, oh, don't nobody want to go to Detroit. And then, we have the understanding of, oh, we got to trade to get people. We have to try to
Right.
lure people with overpaying them, like Charlie B, Josh Smith, Ben Gore, whoever. Yeah, I brought that shit up because it's the truth. And fucking Josh Smith. And
You got
being malicious now. But let me close out, Monty. I appreciate him for doing that because I probably would have did it too for the money, but at the same time, my heart wouldn't have been in it. And it would have been tough for me to know I'm traveling around with the team. My wife might need me at a certain moment, and I'm all the way in LA or something like that. You know what I mean? Or I'm all the way in
yeah.
Seattle, and I'm not an hour away. I'm not 2 hours away. I'm like 4, 5, 6 hours away, whatever. And I have obligations to the team. So I can't have obligations to my wife. So I respect him for that. I do respect the fact that he kept his poise, including during the 0-28 run. I do like the fact that when we started to get upset about things, the fan base started to get upset about certain things. He actually started to kind of like boss up a little bit and speak out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
uh, I appreciate the time that he did come here, and I agree with you and think that he did make them better men because these dudes lined up at the press conference. I'm talking about the whole damn roster. I think it was only like one person missing, and yeah, they were on board too. So I hope the next head coach pays attention to that, like the ability for the team to be bought in just because you're here. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we all we collectively want better for the franchise, for this team to represent the city, and just for us to get back to prominence, man. We are a prominent franchise. As much as people want to call us poverty Pistons and all that bullshit, like Get your championships up, because it's Lakers, Celtics, Warriors, Miami's in there somewhere, but we're right there too. So
That's right.
show us some respect. And
Hell
thank you
yeah.
again, Monty.
Hell yeah. That's
Basketball
the way we
guys,
end.
please give us a coach that's gonna help us get at least 30 games won this year.
Okay, I got higher expectations. Let's go 500. Let's go
Yeah,
500.
let's go
Or
41
whatever.
and
Fine,
41.
fine.
I'm with
It's the
that.
East. It's the East. You're right. It's the East. Okay, fine. Whatever it takes to get in the play-in. How's that? There you go.
I
Because
mean,
it could
yeah.
probably be less. It was
No,
less
I
than
want
40 games.
playoffs. I don't care if we're the AFC. I want playoffs, and I want one win in the playoffs, and we grow from there. JB Biggerstaff,
Yeah.
if that's you, come on. Sam, whoever is the best coaching candidate, let the basketball guys decide. Just as long as they get us to the promised land, which is the playoffs right now.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Well, here's to a fun off season. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, thank y'all for joining us, man. Follow us, subscribe. We're gonna do this a little bit more.
All right.